There are growing concerns that Ghana could be losing an estimated amount of $160 million owing to a new export regulation introduced by the UK. Through its new border target operation model, all animal and plant products being moved to the UK will now require export health certificates effective January 31, 2024. Ghana's main export to the UK, which includes processed fish, cocoa beans and fruits, fall primarily under this new categories required certification, raising fears of a severe impact on Ghanaian businesses. Head of Diplomatic and Foreign Affairs Desk at JoyNews, Blaise Sogan, will be joining us with more. But first, listen to the UK's Institute of Technology talking about this.
But it's a challenging environment globally. If you look at the WTO statistics, global trade is going to slow down over the coming years. So the world is in a difficult place at the moment, and the global economy itself is in a challenging environment. If you need only look at what's happening in Germany, the Netherlands, Spain and Italy currently to see that this is not just an Africa problem, this is an international problem. However, what Ghana has to do is to take a very determined sense that we will be innovative and we will seize opportunities.
There's a new policy coming through the border targeting policy. The fear is that countries such as Ghana and other African nations might be affected some way, somehow, because of the phytosanitary regulations now coming through on that policy. Should African markets or perhaps Ghanaian products be worried that this new policy, which is coming into force, might, affect some of their trading routes?
No, it's a huge opportunity. And it's a huge opportunity because the changes that the UK is implementing with regards to the way its border operates is to make them digital, make them more seamless, but also to take a risk-based approach rather than a hazard-based approach. So a lot of products from Africa have faced a real challenge selling into the UK because of the hazards-based approach. By taking a risk-based approach, so by analysing the production, the area of production, the type of product, and the security and assurance that sits around those products, actually Ghana has the potential, by meeting standards, to get easier access into the UK.
The standards is the problem.
The standards are essential. Right. If you're not producing standards, you're not going to be able to sell your goods anywhere. The period whereby any nation is prepared to accept hazard into across their borders is gone. So if Ghana can get producers producing to the standards, and that's about education and training. It's something that the Institute takes to heart. Right. This is why we were founded in 1935. Right. So it's relatively simple to do. It takes some commitment.
A lower industrialized nation like Ghana, definitely there'll be challenges packaging-wise and whatever considerations.
But there's help. There is help there. There is help and support. We're here to provide help and support. There are international agencies that are keen to help and support. And if you look at, I'm going to take a microcosm of the EU. Right now, through the weaponization of supply chains and trade routes, farmers in France are barricading their routes to prevent goods getting through. The same is happening in Germany, it's happening in Spain, it's happening in the Netherlands. So supply chains are disrupted. Ghana has the potential, with what the UK is doing with its target operating model, to achieve the standards of production and get their products into market better, quicker, and grow the potential. Also, if you can do that, you can start also to shift some of that processing back to Ghana and create the value add. Look, it's not simple. It sounds simple for me to sit here and say this, but do nothing and you will go backwards. That's the guarantee. Do nothing, you go backwards.
Well, at least we're trying something, and of course I'm happy that your institute is also coming through. You're partnering, for instance, with the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. What programs are you running with them, and how will that perhaps help the situation for us to get out of the challenge?
Brilliant. So we're working with JEPA, the Ghana Export Promotions Agency, to support around capacity building, knowledge and expertise around customs and international trade. This is the bedrock of what the Institute does. We help professionalise international trade so that people understand how the systems work.
You heard the president of the Institute of Export and International Trade, 4G, Marco 4G, who says that there are a lot of opportunities for Ghanaians if they actually follow the rules. I've been joined by Head of Diplomatic and Foreign Affairs Desk at JoyNews, Blessed Soga. So when did this regulation kick off, and what does it say?
Well, so that regulation is coming into force today because the document states that effective the 31st of January this year, the UK appears to be scaling up its regulations on customs and imports and exports as well. Now, there's a new regulation that's coming into force, primarily targeting exports into the EU market, and extensively the UK government would scale up its regulation on imports and exports generally. What we know is that starting from today, if you're bringing in any plant-based or animal, say livestock into the UK market, what would happen is you need a certification from the United Kingdom based on some assessments and requirements that they will demand from any exporter around the world. Now, we know that Ghana is one of the key exporters into the UK market. What happens is we're highly dependent, as you know, on the export of cocoa, on the export of fruits and vegetables, especially into the UK markets. The estimated amount of value that we get from that is somewhere around 160 million United States dollars. So that's the figure that is at stake now, with many businesses and exporters of these primary produce into the UK market getting worried that now that the certification will be required, some processes may be delayed and eventually Ghanaian businesses may be affected as a result of the exercise.
We understand some stakeholders are engaging further on this. What exactly?
Precisely. So we've been doing our checks as well, trying as much as possible to engage with some of the main exporters into the European market. Because there's no clear line on the extent to which this might affect African exports, they are equally worried, and engagements, even as we speak, are continuing now between government officials, the private chambers, the exporters of farm produce here in Ghana, who are also worried and seeking further clarification from the UK government on whether or not this new regulation will apply to exports coming through from the likes of Ghana. Because if we're going by the stipulation, it means that for today, any export moving right now into the UK market is not qualified per what the law says to move into the UK market. So all of these produce, whether it's cassava, vegetables or fruits, they will be grounded. They would no longer be able to enter into the UK market. And that's why many people are raising concerns about it, seeking for clarifications. Once we get through to, the chambers working on these engagements, we'll definitely update our viewers on this.
Blessed Sogan with those details. I've been joined by Anthony Morrison, who's also with the Exports Association. Grateful for your time, Mr. Morrison. This certainly doesn't come as good news to you.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Well, we have been following this discussion. You remember somewhere last year, UK had challenges with tomatoes export, and we engaged them quite significantly on the areas to adopt. But quite frankly, you would also acknowledge the fact that the EU and the UK are not quite different in various times with regards to the imposition of some tax barriers and other things. We knew when the EU came up with the new law on the food of forest origin from Africa, we knew the UK was going to follow suit. And if you look at it, luckily for us, the chamber had been in engagement with the UK Animal Health Director, and we have been working with them. Last year, we did training for more than 70 people with support from the UK Embassy. What we do know is that from our PPRSD, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ghana Standards Authority, they have also been taking some steps to make sure that they engage the UK authorities. But the point here is that already the cost of production is so high, and the cost of further documentations are going to be so expensive on the exporters. And we have also been overly taxed with regards to the 5% taxes on exports and various others. So we need to also, while engaging the UK government, we also need to engage our government, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, to see how they can reduce some tax imposition on the agriculture sector so that we don't overly increase our post-harvest losses, which is already so high. And we also have to look at how we can also support exports. The likes of Eisen needs to work actively with the industry. The likes of Gessel will also have to work actively with the industry to fast track training and capacity building for various exporters, and also for the agriculture export farms that are currently producing for export. We need to look at what are the phytosanitary issues, what are the other areas of documentation and certification that ought. If you look at the UK new law, it's looking primarily at the IPAFS. So it also includes vegetables, it includes tubers that we export to the UK market. It also requires talk about timber and the likes. The reason why you see that the UK are giving some form of exemption to the EU imports is because they are all on the same standardization. And we also need to do a lot in order to increase our standard to be competitive, at least on the global market.
So, I mean, you've just explained the difficulty in this situation, but potentially we could be losing some $160 million. How do we avert this?
Well, for now, there is nothing we can do. We only need to also introduce trade barriers to also block some import of the same products that we are supposed to be exporting. So the local market can ignite around it and be able to offtake those commodities. However, we can also look at some of the processing sector who are doing a lot of post-harvest and value addition to be able to divert some of these exports to them. Now, within the West Africa sub-region, and taking advantage of the AFTA and the PAPs, we can look at some African countries that also need some of these products. So we do not overly focus on the European Union market or the UK market, but we can look at Asia, we can look at other African countries so that we can send these products, so that we do not also have to make losses at our end. This is very difficult time. You can also, for instance, those doing banana, those doing pineapple, they can't afford to look at long-term storage because of the tax position on electricity, for instance. Okay, there are also issues with emission taxes that we are already engaging government on. So we may need to also, and in fact, this will affect production for the next for this major season, because nobody will want to produce a lot for this major season, and we may have to come back around next year this time to be able to pick up from where we are, from where we dropped off last year, because we will be very strategic with our production, increase in production, or we may just reduce production all over.
Grateful for your time. Anthony Morrison is President and CEO of the Chamber of Agribusiness, and has been explaining how the exporters will try and meet up with this UK standards.